Please make the anger regulation video. Okay, now what I cannot do is I cannot teach you to stop being an angry person. Everyone's emotional range is on a spectrum, and we generally don't conscientiously decide to feel a particular emotion. It just happens. There's a lot of people who are way smarter than me and get paid a lot more than I do to study this stuff, and you should look into their research or understanding to get more insight. However, while we don't necessarily choose to feel an emotion, we definitely choose how we respond to that feeling. I'm going to talk about what I do when I feel angry that helps me mitigate that. And I'm going to put it under the lens of video games because that's what the previous video was about. But you can apply this to a lot of different things. When you're getting angry while playing a video game, it's generally because something is not going the way you feel like it should be going. But that happens to everyone, especially in a team-based game. However, some people get angry and they start cursing and flaming and all kinds of stuff like that. And they get tilted, they make worse and worse decisions, and they play worse and worse. And then there's other people who experience those same feelings. However, they perform amazingly. They stay consistent and they do well and they're not raging or anything like that. So I wanted to see what the difference was. I watched the top players of this game, League of Legends, and I kind of studied them a little bit. I wanted to see not necessarily what their gameplay was like, but I wanted to understand what their mentality was and how they handled when things didn't go their way. I watched them play at like the highest ranks to see how they handled when someone is just better or when the situation is just dire like that. But I also watched them play at the lower ranks where nobody knew what they were doing and everyone's just bad, and saw how they handled those situations. And what I found was very interesting. When somebody on their team got caught out or died to bad positioning or something like that, something that was clearly their fault, the player that I'm watching, they would say, oh man, that was unfortunate. Oh, they shouldn't have been right there. Something like that, right? Just, oh, that was unlucky. When the other team was just better and they're just applying too much pressure and the person that I'm watching couldn't do anything, they're just dying or whatever, and they're just saying, oh man, that was unlucky. That's unfortunate that happened. You know what I mean? Like that. And it started to piss me off a little bit because some of these situations I was like, no, that wasn't unlucky. Your teammate is bad. Like, why aren't you upset? Your teammate was straight up bad, and you're just saying it was unlucky. But when I saw that they stayed level-headed and they just continued being consistent, regardless of how terrible their team is playing, I began to realize something. You can't control who you're matched up with. That is up to chance. You can't control who you're matched up against. That is up to chance. The only thing you can control is how well you do. And so I looked at them again and I realized that whenever other people were dying, all they would say is, man, that's unlucky. They shouldn't have done this, this, and this. But when they were dying, they would point out exactly what they did wrong, what item they had wrong, what positioning they had wrong, everything that they could have done better or should have corrected. They would start analyzing that in the middle of the game, because the game isn't about Dragon Slayer 169. He doesn't matter. You're only going to encounter him this one game. Getting mad at him doesn't make sense. It was chance that you guys even matched up together. But you know who's going to be in 100% of your games? You. That's why if you put the best players at the lowest ranks of the game, they just shoot right back out because they're not worried about their teammates. They're not complaining about their teammates holding them back or being stuck in elo hell or anything like that. They're focused on their game, on how they play, and how to make that as consistent and as good as possible. I started applying that to my game and, in part, my life. Is what happened to me something that I can control? Yes, okay, well that's frustrating, but now I've learned something. Maybe I can fix it the next time I encounter this. Is what happened outside of my control? Yes? Okay, well then that was just unlucky. There's nothing I could do about that, so I'm just going to keep on being consistent and performing the way that I do, and hopefully next time I won't be so unlucky. You don't get angry at being unlucky because you're not entitled to luck. So you just keep it moving. So that's one thing that I do. The other thing that I do is knowing when to step away. Anger is a knee-jerk reaction. It's a defense mechanism to keep us from feeling hurt. The way that it does that is by preparing us to go on offense. I didn't like that. Stop it. Don't talk to me that way. Don't treat me that way. Don't treat them that way. This isn't supposed to go the way that it's going right now. Fix it. Whatever. But you don't follow through on knee-jerk reactions. You need time. You need to stall for time. You need to give yourself some space for the rest of you to catch up to the knee-jerk. A lot of people recommend taking some deep breaths. I don't necessarily do that, but however you can figure it out, you need to be able to stall for some time to catch up. What happens in my head is when I get that knee jerk, I'm like, whoa, hold on. Do I need to be angry right now? Is anger the right emotion right now? No? Okay, let's figure out what we're feeling so we can work through this. Sometimes anger is the right emotion. Sometimes I choose violence. But more often than not, the situation that's happening doesn't actually call for anger. Disappointment, sure. Frustration, why not? But anger? Nobody's trying to wrong you or hurt you in any meaningful way. You're not in danger. Anger usually just isn't the right emotion for the situation. You need a second. Give yourself a second to actually think, do I need to be angry right now? And if your answer is, I don't know, or it doesn't matter because I'm just angry anyway, you need to step away. I step away from video games as soon as I'm not having fun anymore. When the yelling and the screaming and frustration, when it gets to the point where I am no longer having fun, it is time to put the game down. Because you don't play video games to stress. You don't play video games to be angry. You play them to have fun. So if somebody could walk in on your gaming session and ask you, hey, are you having fun right now? And you can say no because you're so pissed off, it's time to put the game down. You've been playing too long. You've had too many negative experiences. You might need to change games. I don't even play League of Legends anymore. I still play some of their other games, but I cut League of Legends out. I was getting too angry, and I didn't want to be that person. So you have to be able to think about that stuff, do an emotional checkup to see how you're feeling. And that's what I do. And that's why I no longer break my computer equipment and stuff like that. This video was so long. I do apologize, but I hope it helps somebody. I'll see you guys in the next